Should I leave meeting?
I mean, it's going to be a short meeting if you leave.
Exactly. It's been fun, folks. Good night. Time for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah, as you drop in your where you're listening in from, if anybody also may have been out there this past Sunday, drop it in there so we can give you some props and some love. So let us know if you maybe decided that you want to run two halves in 8 weeks. I will say that the race conditions on Sunday were perfect. We can get that again in 8 weeks. I'll take it.
Vamos a poner esto aquí.
all right, Coach Ben. If you want to get started, I think we can go for it. We might have some more people join as we go, but we'll get started.
I think Nomi's out there somewhere. Nomi, if you're out there and you want to come off camera, join the party. Love to hear you. Love to see you. But as we get started, runners, thank you so much for being part of the TFK team for the RBC Brooklyn Half. As I just mentioned, we are a scant 8 weeks, if you can believe that, 8 weeks until we hit the start line on Washington and make our 13.1 mile journey all the way through Brooklyn down to Coney Island, folks. That's what we do. We have a wonderful agenda for you tonight. As you're there, we're going to go over some general training information. Add tire as the season changes. I mean, right now, if anyone here is running in the tri-state area, it's a bit brisk today. I think even tomorrow is colder. We have some rain coming this weekend, looks like, and then hopefully spring will sprung, or whatever spring does. I don't know what that is. We'll talk about fluid and hydration. Kind of goes into what very important aspects of your training, because a lot of you may be going to be out there for your first time doing a half marathon. So maybe you're not quite sure how much to drink, when to drink, how much to eat, when to eat. So we want to make sure you have all of those good tips as you get your training started for hopefully a successful May 14th. Is that the 14th, right? Or is did anyone know the day of the race? I'm horrible. I've already forgotten.
I think it's the 18th.
The 18th.
That's what I said, May 18th. Thank you so much. But yeah, and then most importantly, if you see there any questions, you can drop them in the chat here. But if you forget afterward or you're watching this online later, just hit up the team for kids at nyrr.org and we get you out there. But I have some coaches here. I think that's our next slide up, possibly. There we go. For all of you who don't know me, I'm not a random old guy, even though that's what my screen name says here. I am Coach Ben Delaney, head up here for our team for kids. I'm honored to be able to do this. I get to go run. I get to be with our lovely teams and do this. I never take it for granted. I am eternally grateful for that opportunity. And more importantly, I absolutely love the people I get to work with every day. And a few of them are here. So I will pass the mic to the first person I see, which is Dorothy.
Hi guys, I'm Coach Dorothy, and I've been with Team for Kids first as a runner in 2015. Then I became a coach in 2018, and coaching both the halves teams and the full marathon team.
More importantly, if any of you out there are doing run walk, that is the coach to connect with, folks. She had some. Dorothy, talk about the runner that just did the NYC half, and what happened to them. I don't want to give it away.
All right. So we had a runner who was doing run walk with me. We worked a lot on the walk portion of it. A lot of people think that the run is the most important, but having both of them very solid. Gave her a plan on how to attack the course, and she executed perfectly. It was the most perfect race. She hit the 5K mark, started to pick up her pace, and she actually beat her twin daughters who are in their 20s. She had a better race than they did. So it was just, she also at one point, she said, this is the cadence and this is the runs and the walk that work best for the way I feel comfortable. And I said, that's it. That's where when you feel comfortable, that's where you're going to stick to. So it was a perfect race for her.
And I cannot emphasize that enough to our runners out there. Lean on these coaches and this coaching staff to find out what's going to work best for you on race day. We'll try lots of things, but the recipe is going to be a bit different for each of you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. That's why we're here. We want to see you have the most successful race day possible. You've all committed to this journey in some capacity. Maybe it's going to be your first half marathon. So try to make it as successful as you can. The next person I see on my screen is Coach Jackie. How you doing, Jackie?
Hi everyone. Hi Coach Ben. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Coach Jackie. Please excuse me. I am a coach, runner, and mom of an 8-month-old and a 4-year-old, and 6 p.m. is definitely feeding time at my zoo. So I have been a coach with New York Roadrunners for about 7 years. I started with the Run for the Future program, which I absolutely loved, and he's like 4 or 5. He's like 4.5. I'm being corrected. He is 4 years and 5 months. He's correct. And I just started with Team for Kids about 2 years ago. I absolutely love it. The camaraderie is amazing. The training season is just awesome. Please try if you can, if you're in the New York area, New York, New Jersey area, make it out for some of the training runs. It's so just the whole environment is so really wonderful. Like Coach Ben said, there's different coaches of any pace. So whether you're a 13-minute, 14-minute run walk, or you're an 8-9 minute mile, there's a pace for you. And running is my happy pace, and hopefully it will be yours too. I can't wait to meet you all. Thanks so much for joining us, the Team for Kids.
Perfect. And I mentioned Jackie. I know Jackie. We had a runner, Gabby, that came out, and I think one of our longest runs, and she threw down on the practice. But did you see her race time? How well she did on race day?
Hold on, I did not actually. I didn't look her up.
I think she averaged like 7:30 pace
Good
for the race.
Her goal. Yes, her goal was a 140. And so I'm sure that she was probably around like a 136 then. Yeah,
I think it's what it would have been. So again, to runners out there, and as Jackie said, come to practice. As you see, we cover everything in between. So please make a chance. Yeah, if you have time, you're in the area. Love for you to come out and do practice with us. We have a good time. We have fun out there. We get to make new friends. We covered it all. And then last up, I see Jackie, you there?
Yeah, I just said you meet so many people, you get all the high fives. It's really fun.
Perfect. And last up, I see Nomi. Are you in the car? Hopefully you're not driving. Hopefully you're parked.
I am not driving. I'm
okay.
fine. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited for Brooklyn Half training to start. As we just finished New York City Half, was amazing to see all the runners. And I think Brooklyn Half training will be much easier since during the New York City Half, we have to training in the cold. Most of the days was dark, cold. So I believe the Brooklyn Half training will be much easier. And I'm very excited about that. So one thing we learned, and a lot of runners said that on the race day, that the training, one thing that they learned during the training was to show up, even if you don't feel to show up unless you're really sick. But showing up helped them. And then the day on the race day, they all felt like ready to go. They're like, oh, we did this just with 30, 40 people together. But now it's much fun with thousands of people running, and I don't have to think to bring my water or anything. So it was good to hear that showing up was something that they did, and it helped them, because once the training is done on the race day, all you have to do is like celebrate yourself and celebrate with other runners. So I've been a coach with group training and Team for Kids for 4 years. It's something I love to do with all my heart. And one thing that makes me happy every day, seeing runners that they have a goal, even that goal is small or big, just to show up or to run walk or to run slow or run fast. it's amazing that they achieve that goal. And running with a group will actually make it much fun and much easier, because you don't have to struggle alone. You struggle with other people, and that becomes a routine. So you don't have to like, every day becomes easier. The first time you show up, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Oh my God, I wish I could sleep. But after the run, you're gonna feel amazing. And then you think about that, how you feel after the run. And every day, every Saturday, if you live in New York and New Jersey, you're gonna show up to training. So I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see all of you running on Ocean Avenue, and I cannot, or Ocean Parkway, and see you at the end of the race by the beach.
That's probably the best part. You finish on Coney Island. I know there's a large section of our running group and the coaches that they finish that race. If the day is nice, they kick off the shoes and into the Atlantic they go to celebrate a plunge real quick, because you have earned it, depending on what the weather's going to be like that day. But yeah, this is just a small selection of the coaching staff that we have. So if you do make it to practice, you'll get to meet a lot more of our wonderful coaches that we have on staff. So hope to see you on Saturday mornings at Columbus Circle for the majority of the runs that we do have. That information will be in the email that you receive each week, where our location meetup will be. But hope to see you out there, because as Nomi said, it's better to struggle with friends than without friends, because the struggle can be real sometimes. But I remember there was a runner actually that we were doing our last long run. We were in taper for NYC half, and they asked how long the run was. I said, "Oh, we're doing like 60 minutes." And they're like, okay, only 60 minutes. The first week we did 60 minutes. And for some people, that was a long time, the longest they had run. So in the course of 8 weeks to go from, oh my gosh, I have to run for an hour, to, oh, it's only an hour. That's part of showing up. And that's really kind of echoes what Nomi said. And the rest of the coaches try to be there, show up for you, show up for your teammates, make some new friends, and have a good time. And if you have any questions, again, keep that team for kids at nyr.org email on the front. I see Julia dropped in the chat that she ran the NYC half, walked it in 2 hours and 50 minutes. That's absolutely amazing. We will get to your question about that blister. They are no fun, but we got more stuff coming up, so we'll probably touch on that in a bit. But all righty, so we got our coaches here. So I'll kind of toss some ideas out here. Hey, Nomi, so we maybe have some runners on here. This is the first marathon, their first half. What do they do? How do they start to get ready for this? Obviously we say March here. It'll be in May. There's a typo on our side, but you said to show up to practice. You said to show up. What other tips can you give them to help them get ready for that big day in May?
Showing up, it's the most important thing. But when you show up, you get to learn more. What do we do? If it's a long run, do I bring a bottle of water? We always recommend you, winter or summer, you bring water with you, because it's always good to have water. And it depends where we run. If we're in the park, sometimes there can be some water fountains, but if we're not in the park, then you have to, but it's good to practice to bring always water with you. And like if you use gels, when we start longer runs, you should start practicing. Training is the most important thing. So anything that you are planning or you hear from us today, you should start practicing that to bring it to the training. Like shoes, what kind of shoes do I need for long runs? Check the weather the night before. I usually do the week before and the night before, just to make sure like I have option A and B. Oh, it's gonna rain. So, but I'm gonna check how humid it's gonna be. So that way I know what to bring. And then keep notes after every run that you do. Keep notes, what worked out that day, or maybe the socks I didn't like. And believe it or not, everything matters. Shoes that you wear, socks, the shirt that you wear, the shorts, or whatever you prefer to wear to run. All those matters. And a lot of people like to have brand new things, but it's good to keep those old things that they work during the training, and make sure that you keep track of it. Hydration. The night before or the week before, check what should I eat before my long runs. Did pasta work out for me? Because we're all different and everything will work differently. So a lot of people will eat salad the night before, a lot of people will eat pasta, but we're all different. So we check what worked out for us. And then when you get up in the morning, if you feel okay and the run went well, that means that the pasta eating before, it worked out. And any question that you have, you should always bring it. And whatever it comes up in your mind, you should bring it to the training. So that way you have the coaches there to answer all the questions. And we make mistakes, but we try to make those mistakes, less. as you know, it's hard to coordinate with the weather or how busy we are during the week, but keep track of all that and make sure that you have everything ready. And sometimes I leave everything by the door. So in the morning when I get up, I know I have two options. I check the weather. Sometimes it's hard to tell how the weather is going to be, but I go, if I have time, I walk around the block and I'm like, oh, it feels humid. So it's okay in shorts and t-shirt. And it's always to bring extra if we have usually we run at the run center and you can store your bags there or extra clothes. So it's okay to have options with you. But the most important thing is hydration. And if you start using gels or you're trying them, you should bring them to the training. And then we also apply sunscreen protection, even if it's winter, because that matters. If you prefer to wear sunglasses, you bring them to the training. If you the hat, oh, I would like to bring a hat because I usually work out on that. Bring all those, and we try things out during the training. That's where we test everything, and whatever doesn't work, as we get closer to the race, we start throwing those things away of our out of our picture. So that way we just keep what we need.
And scene. I think we're done, folks. Nice work tonight. That was fantastic, Novi. Covered a lot there, but that's just it. When you start about solid training, there's a lot to kind of take in the first part, especially for anybody out there for the first time. There's a learning curve here. There's like a puzzle you're going to be laying down. So Nomi just dropped a lot of knowledge, and it was all perfect. So take note. Maybe watch the recording afterward and start piecing out what's going to work well for you. Jackie, and this question maybe fits perfectly as a mom of two young ones. What happens if you have to miss a workout due to work, life, parenting, all those fun things?
Never make up Miss Miles. It's okay. So life happens. And we know that life happens. Rain happens, weather happens, injuries happen, right? So you need to listen to your body. Don't feel guilty about it. It's okay. You have workouts that are planned for you during the week, as well as your long runs. Doing your long runs and things like that are definitely very important, and getting in those miles and getting in that time. But don't drive yourself crazy if you have to miss a workout. It's okay. You can also email one of your coaches. You can email teamforkids@nyr.org. Say, listen, I had 8 miles on my training schedule, or we don't really go by miles so much as we go by time. I had an hour and 30 minutes on my schedule. I can't find the time. I've got soccer practice. My kids have the flu. Whatever new virus is going around at any given point in time. I have the flu now because of my lovely bacteria children. And so it's okay. You will find the time to make it up. And recovery and making sure that your body is strong and healthy is going to be the best thing for you. If you go out and you're not feeling well, you're feeling under the weather and you're feeling sick, and you push yourself to try to go out, you're going to get worse, right? If you're injured and you feel like, ouch, there's something, ouch, there's pain, right? So again, learning that pain is different than soreness, right? Sore is sore from a run, and pain is, ouch, something's wrong. Take it easy. You'll be okay, right? The whole goal here is to get you to the start line. You need to be healthy. You need to be healthy for yourself. You need to be healthy for your family. And it's okay. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it's okay.
It's always okay. Be kind to yourself, I think, is really the
Yes.
takeaway here, folks.
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah, just be kind, take it easy. It's just running. It's something we love to do. We take it seriously because it's a goal for us. I say be selfish when it comes to your race because you work hard to get there. But during training, understand there's going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be ups and downs. Take it all in stride, as one would say when it comes to running, folks. And as Jackie said, reach out to the coaches if you have questions. They'll be able to kind of help move things around, maybe calm some nerves, put things at ease for you, because we want you to have a successful training cycle and race day for sure. Dorothy, I think this next question is right up your alley. You're a fantastic strength coach. You have so much knowledge here. So cross training, strength training, how should runners, should they stop? How should they incorporate it if they're doing it to find that balance so they can stay as strong as they can and make sure they get equal rest and recovery?
Well, I think that strength training, mobility training, and balance training are super important for runners. And if you're gonna weight train, you want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to recover. It depends on what kind of strength training you do. Some people get that muscle soreness one day after. Some people get it 2 days after. It really depends on what you're doing. But it really keeping your core strong, making sure that you're balanced between your quads and your hamstrings. You have some people who really load up the hamstrings and then don't work the quads, and they experience a little bit of glute pain. Same thing like doing hills. You know, hill running is strength training. We're strengthening the muscles. So I totally believe in incorporating strength training into the workout, but you also want to make sure that you're giving yourself good nutrition while you're strength training as well.
Absolutely. It's balance. It's all about kind of finding the balance where you are in your training, taking it all in. But those are great questions to ask out there. Runs again, if you're still in incorporate that. Actually, I was just working with a coach who had a new runner. This runner is very much into their strength training. They didn't want to necessarily, I don't want to say give it up, but they didn't want to sacrifice too much in the gym. They found a lot of value in that for them just personally. And so the coach really worked with them to find that balance. So ask those questions, runners, for sure, especially if something's important to you, because as Dorothy said, we want to make sure that you're working in the right areas. Everyone's going to be a bit different in terms of when their soreness may come and go. But we want to make sure you get out there and be healthy. And we all kind of had touched on that. So, hey, Nomi, I know that this course has, we were in Prospect Park and then we're on Ocean Parkway for a long time, which is much flatter. But should runners still look at, how important are hills for this workout, for this race? Because that first part of the race, I think we've all done before, can be a bit challenging, but how important are they? Dorothy always touched on the strength part. What else can you shed light on there for the runners?
As I always say, hills pay the bills. So we should still train and find a nice hill that is close to the house or close to work or the park that you're close to. And you should at least have on Tuesdays, if you're not part of any group training in New York or any other group training wherever you live, you should have that on your schedule, because as I say, hills will make us stronger. And this race will start there and we will start with the hill. So, and we also, it's the start of the race. We might feel fresh and our legs are fresh, but that hill in Prospect Park, it's a really lovely hill. The Battle Pass Hill is my favorite hill. So we should prepare for that. And why do we want to prepare for that? It's early miles, but we still want to do good on that. We should be able not to sprint it, but maintain a good effort and be able to also have fun on the flat course. By the time you get to the beach, you should be able to feel so strong and then maintain a good pace. And I would keep the hills all the time, because as I said, hills are good for us. And then especially this race is going to start with a hill.
This is not a perfectly flat course. And as Nomi said, hills pay the bills for sure. And if you get really good at how to run not only uphill, but downhill, this course will pay you back when you get on a ocean, when you have that flat area. So don't shy away from them, folks. They do make a big difference in a lot of ways in your training and in your overall running economy that you want to go for out there. Okay, Jackie, if you have a moment, I know you're working with the little ones there. Sorry about that, but I think recovery is a bad word for some runners. I don't think it's a bad word, but runners find recovery is a bad word. But what does recovery and easy day mean?
So your easy day, which is, hi, this is Finn again. We'll see if he lets me talk about this. Yeah, we'll see. So a recovery day is after your long workout, which will be maybe a walk, an easy run. It should not be long. Or Coach Dorothy might have to take it, Ben.
Gotcha. Go for it, Dorothy.
All
Sorry,
right.
Dorothy.
That's all right. So, different types of recovery, right? You can cross-train recovery, doing something like swimming or yoga, where you're still working on flexibility and mobility. But the easy run should be just that. easy. You can have a conversation with the person that you're running with. And this is one of the things about coming to practice. If you are in the tri-state area, for the last series for New York City half, we had people who said, okay, I am 11-minute miler. And they may have had to be moved up to the group that was a little faster, or they needed to go back to the group because their 11 minutes was a little bit out of they couldn't talk and really have a good conversation. So coming to practice and having a coach work with you really, gets you to know exactly what your recovery run time is, what if you're doing a tempo run, what that time should be. So it is important to sort of pick our brains about what's the best thing to do. And if just because there's a day that we don't have running on the schedule doesn't mean that that's a bad day. That's when our body heals on those recovery days, right? We break the muscles down a little bit, the tendons down, the ligaments down, and then you need 48 hours of recovery time to have get the strength and the gains from that. So you could do something. I'm not saying just like sit around on the couch, but you're going to take that load off of the muscles a bit.
Yeah, I can't emphasize what Dorothy's saying enough. There are gains in recovery, folks. There is, when you begin to understand how our body adapts to what we're doing, then you realize how important recovery is. Because people think, oh, if I stop running, I'm going to lose fitness. I'm going to get slower. I'm not going to lose everything that I worked for. It's actually the converse of that. You're actually going to make gains when you allow yourself to take your foot off the gas. Mondays are my day off. It is sacred for me. You will very rarely see me running on a Monday unless something hasn't or have to move things around. I take Mondays off. I try to get my Fridays off as well. I'm big on that because I understand that my body has to recover. It's always worked well for me. And the gains are there. So listen to your body. I think the coaches have mentioned that before. Stay with that. Listen to it. It's telling you something. It's if you choose to listen or not to what it's saying. So it's a very important part of the process. Kim was asking, how do we find out about the practices? In the email that you receive every Sunday morning. Can't emphasize the emails enough, folks. There's a lot of information in that email. It will have information on the practice, whether you come to it or not. It will give you the area where we're going to be meeting that weekend or the following Saturday. It will also give you the idea of what the workout will be. So if you can't make it, you'll know how to kind of stay on with your own training on your own. There'll be information for our run walk in there as well. We make sure that all of our run walkers have the cadence consistent so they can practice that. But keep an eye out on the email. Yes, we only, for our half seasons, we only do workouts in person on Saturday. It's the marathon season where we bring back our weekday workouts. So unfortunately, we do only have that on Saturday mornings. If you can make it, love to have you out there, but no, it doesn't work for everybody. All righty, folks. So it's supposed to be spring today, right? I think spring was the first day, I think. I don't know, anybody in the tri-area is probably going, it doesn't feel like spring tomorrow. It's still going to feel like very winter-like out there. Okay, Nomi, so with the shifting, I think you touched on this a bit more about how we practice things, and as we get closer, we kind of remove things that aren't working for us. With the shifting seasons that are shift, today was a bit wet. Tomorrow's going to be windy. We're going to get rain again on Saturday. How do I start? What the heck do I wear? What am I supposed to do?
As I mentioned earlier, I check the weather on Sunday just to make sure, like, I know what kind of weather we're going through the week before Monday comes. And I prepare and I have option A and B. So that way, if anything changes, which we see that a lot, last minute changes or the night before, it was not supposed to rain, but now it's going to rain. So make sure, and as I said earlier, we're all different. I like to run in shorts winter and summer, but not everybody does like that. So we make sure and see, okay, let me just walk, what kind of weather it is. Let me just, should I wear, like if it's raining, I usually like to have a windbreaker or a raincoat and take it until there. And then when I start running, I might not need none of that. Maybe I just need a t-shirt because it's light rain. So have all the options. And if you run in the rain once and you figure out that everything that I was wearing today worked out, we love to take pictures, but I would put a heart on that picture and I would save it for the next time I'm confused. What should I wear? if it's raining outside. So we should have a couple of things with us, and then sometimes I keep an old pair of shoes if it's raining, so that way I don't use the shoes that I usually train. And those I can dry, I can wash them with my hands and have them dry again for the next raining session. So that way I don't just mess up my shoes that I'm gonna run on the race day. And even if it rains, show up to the practice, because rain or shine, unless if it's not safe, you're gonna hear from Team for Kids, they're gonna be like, hey, do not show up there because it's not safe. But other than that, if it rains, actually, I love to run in the rain. It's fun. And that's how we practice, because on the race day, we don't know what kind of weather it's gonna be. But what do? We train for that. So that's all.
Very important to hit all those conditions, because as Naomi pointed out, you figure things out when you show up. It's when you choose, oh, it's raining today, I'm not going to go out. Then all of a sudden you're faced on a race day. You don't know what shirt you want or what jacket you want, or what you need extra layer here or an extra layer there. It's a bit windy if it's not windy. So it's always good to kind of put it out there, even for a few minutes, to kind of figure some things out. But Coach Dorothy, when we look at like undergarments, what should I wear? What shouldn't I be wearing? You can also look at layering. We talk about with the shifting seasons. So kind of talk about that, because it's a personal choice for some people, but what are some things that people can look for?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to just say about weather, when we're running, you're going to think of the weather as being 15 to 20 degrees warmer than what the temperature is on, like, if you look at your weather app, because as we run, we heat up. So it might say that it's 55 degrees out, but I'm dressing more like it's 65 or 70 degrees out, because that just works for me. And humidity is another big thing. But thinking about what you should wear underneath, for the women out there, a good sports bra is worth its price in gold. You have to, you really want to make sure that you're taking care of, if people like compression shorts, and things that don't shift. You don't want to wear a lot of cotton, because cotton can lead to chafing, whether or not it is raining. And I think you should find something that works for you, but usually something that's running gear or, workout gear. They have a lot of great brands out there that make specific undergarments for runners. And if you have any questions about those, you should let us know. The other thing is, on your weekly email, at the very bottom is a thing to click on to become part of the Facebook group. You can ask a lot of questions there. I know some people who say, oh, I'm not on Facebook. Make up a, Joe the Runner Facebook page. You don't have to, have your cousins and the kids that you went to school with on your page. Just have a running page that's just specifically for this if you're not on it. About shoes, everybody's different. Individuals, the first season I ran in a specific brand, and yeah, it was great. I mean, I finished, it was fine, but as I ran, I found out what worked a little bit better for my foot. So don't worry, you're not going to make a really big mistake if you're wearing shoes that are specifically for running. I wouldn't run in basketball shoes. Even though Little Nas X ran in high tops, I don't recommend that for most people.
Yeah, unless you have a really good marketing deal with them that they're going to pay you to do that. I think in the case with him, they were Coach High Tops, for everybody who's curious out there, and anyone doesn't know, he has a contract with Coach. So that seems to be the scuttlebutt out there, folks, on why the high tops. And I'm sure they're selling like hotcakes, and Coach is over the moon right now with that. But Tom actually asked a really good, he actually made a comment about rotating your shoes, not to wear the same pair over and over. And again, that's a personal choice. It also depends on how much you're running, Tom, or Thomas. I don't know if you go by Tom or Thomas, but think about, for a lot of years, I had one pair of shoes. I'd run them until I put 300 to 500 miles on them, and then I go with the next pair. Then I did start to rotate shoes, but it's not a requirement. I know some people have certain shoes for certain types of workouts that they're going to do. I think Nomi touched on it a little while ago. It's always good to have an older pair of shoes or a second pair of shoes, because like, yeah, if you were to go out and run this Saturday, we're forecasting some rain here in the tri-state area. So drying the shoes out for your next run may take a day or so. So having a secondary pair can be helpful in those cases. It's always good to, I mean, I call those are your tires. You know, those are the tires that keeps the body on the road, the tread going, that powers the engine of our body. So take care of them. And if you can afford it, it's never a bad thing. But don't get too much in the weeds, as Dorothy said, on what works and what doesn't work. It's going to get fitted for a pair of shoes that are the right style, type, and support for your body. That's crucial, because again, that will support your body in the way that you need to as you add more miles and your volume increases. Nomi, what are some common mistakes? I think Dorothy touched on, like, cotton type clothing, maybe not the best choice. What are some other common mistakes that we as coaches hear from runners when it comes to attire and what to wear?
As I said earlier, we all make mistakes, but we want to make those mistakes during the training and avoid them from making those mistakes on the race day. Sometimes I hear friends and runners saying that I'm gonna go buy those shoes because everyone is wearing them and I want them on the race day. But if you didn't train on the race, like during the training with those shoes, you should not have them in the picture to wear them on the race day. And as I said earlier, it's good to keep track of everything. So at least you can avoid, like, you have the shorts that they're not going to shift up and down. That if you plan to run in shorts, which I assume everyone would run in shorts in Brooklyn Half. To make sure, like, those are the shorts that you're going to wear, put them aside. You did 3 long runs on those, wash them, have them ready for the race. Try not to make those mistakes just because things look cute, or, oh, I love this color. Avoid that. Have that color, have that cute shirt or shoes after the race. Pack them, drop the bag when you do the bag check, and have them after the race. I understand, but like, when you start, if you're running the first half marathon, it's very important you're comfortable while you do that race. And during the training, we can make mistakes. And that's how we're gonna learn. Oh, this was not the right shirt. Even the socks matter. Oh, those socks are not working out anymore, so I should not have them for the long runs. Those pair of glasses that I wore the other day, they're not good, or the hat. And I would keep track. Like, there's Strava, like, where on the app, the running app, where you can add notes there for yourself and no one can see them. And that way, the days that I'm confused and I don't know what I should wear for this marathon, I'm like, okay, let me just go check that. And actually, there you can see some pictures too. And you're like, oh, look at that smile. I'm going to go for this outfit because that's the outfit that let me smile during the race, because you don't want to deal with that on the race day. So those are, and we make a lot of mistakes. Also the food, keep everything similar. And if you start practicing the pasta or the salad or the green juice the night before, that's just an example. Just keep to that until it's not good. Like, it's giving you problems or issues the next day, then you start something. Do not try a lot of things at the same time, because then we get confused which thing worked out and which thing didn't work out. One thing at a time. On Saturday, you bring a bottle of water and a gel that you prefer to run. Then you start with the outfit. How many minutes are we running this Saturday? Oh, 80 or 75 minutes. Okay, let me see what's going to work out for me. Make sure you check the weather, and you check, if you live in New York or New Jersey, always check the MTA or path to see what trains are working and what trains are not working. And those are the mistakes we want to make during the training, but not on the race day.
Yeah, it's really me. Nomi gave some really good advice. It really boils down to, like, your training is the training ground, literally, to find out what's working and what's not working. And that way, when you get to race day, it's simply you go to bed the night before, you put everything out, you wake up the next morning, you put on what you know, and out the door you go for your transportation. And as a coach, I say nothing new on race day, because everything between now and that last run is figuring all of those things out. That's probably the common thing we say, is you wake up on the next morning or the week of the race and you change what you're going to do. Don't, as Nomi said, that's for the next training cycle. Put that away for the next time around, because you've done all the work. You don't want to throw caution into the wind at that point to see what happens out. But I think we have one more section to go here, so we'll head up into our next area, which is always a fun one to talk about: fueling and hydration. Maybe we've all kind of touched on this at this point a bit, Dorothy. So I'll toss the first one to you. you know, we're all different. No one's the same, but what are some recommendations? Eating before a run, how soon? What's kind of the timeline runner should kind of have in mind?
So I'm one of those people who, if I eat too close to my run, I don't feel well, because think about when your food is being digested, all of your blood is going into your digestion tract for a long day. So for me, I need to eat at least 90 minutes before I'm gonna run. Um, and what works the best for me is what I eat the night before. It's much more important. Uh, and I have, different things that I can't eat. So I find what works and keep it simple as possible. And you just want to make sure that you have something. And right before your race, even having one of your gels so that you have some glycogen in your system before you go. Sometimes I don't do the gel, I'll do Swedish fish. It's so that works for me. But happens, think about not only the night before, but 2 nights before, being hydrated. If it's, we never know if it's going to get warm or not. So making sure that you have good electrolyte balance before you go. But that's stuff that we can, as the weather changes, we can start talking to people about. But just as Nomi said, really get down what you had Thursday night, Friday night, and then your Saturday long run. See if those start working out for you. If you feel a little nauseous, maybe take something back from there. I think that having some kind of carbohydrate doesn't necessarily have to be pasta. I like sweet potatoes the night before, but you can find things that work for you. And if you have a sensitive stomach about the gels, I do pure maple syrup. They have little tubes of pure maple syrup because that doesn't upset my stomach. So that's something that you can.
Maple syrup for the win. I learned that one a few years ago, and that was a real. I've never personally used it, but it never dawned on me. But when you look at the ingredients in most of your gels that you're buying from your running source, it's really just sugar. That's what that's what your body is using for that fuel. There's a bit of carbohydrate in there as well, but that's really what you're kind of ingesting. So that's part of the plan, part of what your practice is going to be. And know me, so as a runner, as we begin to up our times, I mean, obviously I think we have like 75 minutes of running time for this weekend for our runners, whether you join us or you're going to be on your own. How should runners begin to incorporate like their fueling into their long runs, and then obviously carrying that forward to race day?
So if it's your first half marathon and your first long run, I will go to any sports running stores just to find out, like get some samples and see, like check what you like out there. And you should start bringing, like if you start with GU, for example, or SIS, you stick to that one until we finish the run. So I would bring a gel with me. I would make sure, like, first this starting today, well, before Saturday, I will make sure, like, I will have something that I would like to I usually don't eat pasta the night before. I eat other things, but I try to have like big lunch and light dinner, and it helps me to go through the long run. And also it doesn't make me feel like I'm bloated or why did I eat the food last night or things like that. I also have some food issues with myself, so I have to check what I like. So, what I can eat, and then from that, what I like and what works for me. So it's like kind of a part-time job for you, but it's good because you are going to have a better run if you do everything you're supposed to do. And then I don't start with Friday night, but on Thursday night, I will start adding more water during the day. Go to sleep early if you can. Friday is the last day of the work week, so you might feel more tired and you still don't want to miss the Saturday morning run because it will be fun after we finish. So think about that feeling. And I would bring a gel. Start with a brand that you like or you think it's going to work out for you. Bring it to the training session and we will start from there. Sometimes I used to get some beans, jelly beans before. They were like 30 minutes before the run. they helped, but I cannot have those anymore. So you can start with the things that you like or they work out for you. And then during the training, then we will talk and we will explain when we should take a gel or when we should have a sip of water. Usually we save that when we have like to stop on the traffic. So that way we also respect the traffic, we keep ourselves safe, and we get the gel that we brought or a sip of water. But make sure, like, if you take one type of gel, keep that for that day. So that way we don't get confused the next day, or during the run, you're going to find out if it's going to work or not, because you're going to feel like if it's good for you or not. And if it's good, you make sure like you stick to that, not just you're going to change it because your friend likes something else or someone gave you a pack and that's free. You can take that, but you can use it for another time, but not during the training or for the race day.
What we put, I mean, the real takeaway on everything we put in, that what we put into our bodies as runners is fuel. I am not, naive to know that some people out there have food aversions. They have, they have issues with food, but keep in mind as a runner, you need to be supplying yourself with the appropriate amount of nutrients and what you need to do what you're asking your body to do on race day. So we are coaches. We have different backgrounds, and I don't think any of us are licensed nutritionists here or dietitians. So if you have questions directly with that, I would say look at your primary care. Talk to a nutritionist out there to find out what's best for you. I think we've all in our coaching realm have worked with vegetarians or vegans. So obviously there's different things, way to get the iron that they need in their diets, because it's more than just carbs. It's the fuel that really puts us through, but we all have different approaches and the way that we look at food. So each person has to kind of approach that in their own way. So keep that in mind, what works for you, but know that that's going to be the fuel you need to be fueling up as you go through. Because again, you're asking your body to do a lot of work. Most people are on their feet for over 90 minutes, over 2 hours, some over 2.5 hours. You need to have that onboard fuel and then also be able to add on top of that during the runs to keep yourself going. Words of common mistakes, the only mistakes you make are the ones that you repeat. Everything is a trial and error sometimes with this. So I think all the coaches here have tried that. So don't be afraid to try things. You'll learn from that and you'll figure out what's working and what's not going to work. The only mistake is going back to the same thing over and over again, thinking you may get a different result. To keep that in mind, I think someone just dropped in the chat a plethora, I love that word, of different ways to choose gels out there to try out. I think we've tried all of these at one point in my running career. I think we all kind of will give it a shout out. But I want to kind of I know we have some pre-submitted questions. I do see a question in our chat as well. But Dorothy, I'll toss that first question over to you. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Sure. I just wanted to say one other thing about the gel. One of the common mistakes in gelling is gelling too late.
True.
Why, when you really feel sick during your run, that's because you missed when you were supposed to gel. So you want to make sure that you're keeping that glycogen level constant during your run. If people have persistent IT band issues, see your physical therapist. Go, and if you there are many great therapists, especially if you're in the New York area. There are some that specifically work with runners, but if you have an injury, the physical therapist or your doctor is always the first place that you would go.
And I know we had this question actually in the chat. I know it's here. So blisters suck. Let's just put it honest there, people. Blisters are the worst thing that could probably happen to you when you run. Actually, I dealt with blisters for the first time this past summer. It was so humid and so hot. I had my own personal experience with it. So, but know me, prevent, care, hope to God they never happen. What can runners do? What can they look at in this lovely realm of feet and blistering?
Check the socks that you buy. Check the shoes you're wearing and buy some glides. And you can glide your feet before you put your socks in. I can't promise that that's not going to happen again, but it might be a less. And if you buy those socks that they have, I think they're very light, and then they are, what do they call? They're from Features, And I actually got one pair from New Balance too.
Anti-blister.
Yes, those are the best, and you can buy 2, 3 pairs. You can try them during the training. And to tell you the truth, I ran the half marathon, and if I look at my feet, like I didn't even run, it looked like that. So those are, like, and then you can buy Glide. You can use that for your feet. You can also use it for other parts of your body. And as it get hotter, you might get more blisters, but just make sure, like, the socks are very important too.
Socks are super important. I mean, that was actually my go-to. I've been wearing the same socks for several years, and the my blisters pop up, and I ended up trying the Injinji, so the ones with your individual toes go into them, and that was a lifesaver for me because the blister I was having was my toes are rubbing against each other, so I wanted to put the fabric between that. In my case, that worked out well for me. Injinjis are not super cheap, but running is my sanity. So getting to make sure that I wasn't going to blister and have a good time was important. So it's really, it comes trial and error. I mean, Nomi mentioned it. Is it Glide? Is it different socks? Also check the toe box on your shoe. It goes back to making sure you're wearing a shoe that's properly fitted for you. Do you need a wider shoe? Because think about it, when your foot comes down when you're running, it's going to spread like that. And if you don't have that room in your toe box for your feet to do that, then it's just like everything pushes together. So there's a couple of things to look at when you think about blistering, and it goes back to the talks we make about the shoes. So shoes are vitally important to our sport, to who we are. We want to keep ourselves out there on the road. Dorothy, next question coming your way. It's going to be a two-parter because we have a question and a Q&A as well. Let's speak to the elevation. We kind of touched on Prospect Park a little bit. Speak to the elevation on this course, but touch on how does Battle Pass Hill compare to Harlem Hill?
So the elevation on this course, we're going to start an out and a back that is a hill. And when you do come into Prospect Park and you have the hill in Prospect Park, it feels different to me than the hills in Central Park, as it's a little bit sneaky. Because you think, oh, it doesn't look so high, but it's long. So they kind of balance out with one another, but it's a matter of just keeping that good pace, using your arms, good posture for hills. And as Nomi was saying earlier, the more you can train hills in your training, then when you get to those hills during the course, your body knows what to do. And then the flat will feel easier because you've already trained all of those hills. But yeah, this course, I'll actually be on the course at mile 7, and once you see me, it's basically flat after me. So, I'll be there, I'll be smiling, I'll say, this is it, you're done with most of the hills. You've got a little lift to get up onto the boardwalk at the end. But at that point, you see the boardwalk, you see the roller coaster, you're in the home stretch. So, but yeah, it's an odd type of half marathon to have all the hills happen in the first half. But it's a hilly course.
I don't want to spoil anything for our runners out there, but if you happen to live in the tri-state area and you happen to be here on certain weekends, we do have 2 of our Saturday practices. We will get you out onto the first part of our course will be for one of them, and then the second one will be you'll be able to tackle ocean the entire way. I am a big proponent as a runner of course knowledge. So as a coach, I really like to get our runners use our hometown advantage. There's no reason to not be scouting out what awaits you, because that way you know exactly what awaits you on race day. You can wake up and go, okay, I know this is a downhill, uphill, downhill, flat, around the park. Okay, I got that. And that's going to be one of our workouts. I really want our runners to see what Battle Pass Hill is. Do exactly what Dorothy just said, man. This thing just kind of, it plods along, and there's some false peaks as you go up. We just ran it this past weekend as part of the NYC half. So get out there if you can for our Saturday practices. Someone did ask when the practices are. Check those emails on Sunday, folks. There's all kinds of information in those emails, from fundraising to when our practices are. As Dorothy said, join our Facebook group, ask questions there, please. That community is incredible. Ask the questions. We love to talk about this stuff. Our runners will share, we will share. So jump in there for sure. And we have one more pre-submitted question here. I'll kind of give you both a chance to answer this one because this race is so unique and we end at Coney Island. I mean, let's be honest here, folks. You get yourself down to the boardwalk. But yeah, I remember last year, there was a ton of people down there. What would be some tips? Naomi, I'll toss it to you first, kind of give some ideas, and then Dorothy, you'll follow up. Friends and family are coming down there. Maybe they're from out of town, not familiar with the city. It's Coney Island. Everything's going to be going on. Hopefully it'll be a nice day. What are some tips and some ideas on our runners finding their loved ones and having a good day down there?
If you have family that they come out of town and they are not familiar with Prospect Park or Brooklyn, then I would recommend them to go straight to the finish line by the boardwalk, find a place where they can meet you. That could be the beach. They can get some food, order and drinks and go by the beach, or pick a bar there, or a place where they can go have some breakfast and wait for you. If they are okay with Brooklyn and they know where to get the trains, because also we have to remember during the weekend, the trains are not gonna work as well as during the week. So we want to make sure that you don't get there before they get there. And so they can also wait for you in Prospect Park by the exit of the park, and then they can take maybe the F train from there, but you have to check if the F train is going to work that day, because it's like walking distance to the F train. They can see you there. I think that's where we exit the park, and then we hit the flat part of the course, and they can be on the train. If not, do not make it too complicated for them, and thank them for cheering on you, because cheering is harder than running. And no matter if it's hot or cold, it's always standing, it's harder than running. So just make sure that they go, you know where they're going to wait for you, and make sure like you have your phone charged. And also I usually meet my family to the place where I always meet. We pick a place where they're going to be there, so I don't have to worry about my phone is dying or anything. So I just go straight there.
Good.
Another Another thing about phones is everybody's on their cell phone. You may not get service, right? So that's why picking a spot is really, really important. And I think they have in the stadium a family meetup, and it's alphabetical. So you're in section E if you're, meeting the Evans family, or, so that's a good thing to really have them know. I think that on the course, if they're going to be anywhere on the course, let them tell you, I'm going to be on the right hand side and I'm going to be on this street. And I tell my family wear orange, so it's really easy to see them. But if you have family and they say that they're going to be on a certain street and you're on the right side of the course and they're on the left side of the course, you can easily miss them. And if they're tracking you on the tracker, sometimes the tracker is slightly off, so they think that you've already passed and you haven't, or you passed before the tracker. It's just slightly off because there are so many people on the tracker. It's really hard for everything to be precise. But definitely family out there, that's if they can have shirts with your face on it, even better.
Yeah, I think that's key. I mean, and actually Dorothy really hit the nail on the head. Cell phone saturation is going to be prevalent in Coney Island. The cell reception down there as it is not that great. Add 30,000 runners and their loved ones down there, there's a good chance you're gonna send a text, hey mom, I'm here, hey dad, hey hon, I'm here. And that little line's gonna go about 80% of the way and just stop. And you're gonna be like, what the heck? I just run a half marathon. I really want that frosty, the drink afterward. I want Nathan's. I don't know where they are. I'm walking around. I'm frustrated. I want to end this. And all of a sudden, this great experience now becomes like this, like, oh, I can't find anybody, because it will be madness. Anybody who's run this race before, Coney Island is a party. Everyone does show up. The family meetup zone in the stadium is a great place if they want to get in there. If they don't, as Nomi said, just know where they are and tell them, do not move, do not walk, do not do anything but breathe until you get there. That way, then you find your family, and then you can go and enjoy the moment. Yes, there is going to be a tracking app, as Dorothy had mentioned. So have your friends and family. It is every 5K, so you'll come through. There will be a delay, as Dorothy said, and sometimes depending on the cell reception, it may take a moment for that to get through. So definitely keep that in mind, because definitely that 20K is like just a kilometer before the finish line. So you want to make sure you know where they are at the 15K. But the great thing is the tracker will kind of will tell you what your runner's average pace is going to be. So they can look, okay, so if it came through the 15K marker at 10:15 and they're doing a 10-minute mile, they're going to take them, it's 3 more miles, and then take a half hour. They should be here in 35 minutes. So do some quick math to check that out. And then Nomi, you mentioned the New Balance socks, like the friction ones. Someone asks, what are the socks that you were talking about? We can get that knowledge to them.
If you're coming to this Saturday practice, I will walk you to the store, which is inside the run center. I will post later on Facebook the pair of socks that I bought, but I am so in love with those socks because I'm not sure. I don't know. I just know that they're from New Balance, and I ran the New York City half on those socks, and it was no issue. But I also bought them 3 or 4 weeks before the race, so it was. I actually couldn't wait to go back to get more.
Yeah, definitely. Again, another plug to join that Facebook group, folks. A lot of the questions you're having here, you may think of something down the road. Dorothy's very active in there. A lot of our coaches are in there active. So ask the questions. Runners even here today in our chat, we're dropping information. So we are a community of runners. You are part of a team. It is Team for Kids. It's a great group of runners that want to show up. Whether you make an in-practice an in-person practice with us, or just involve in our Facebook group or show up on our Race Day. I know that we are a community here to support you in every way that we can. But if anybody has any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the Q&A. We'll give it a beat or two.
One thing I wanted to bring up
Yeah.
for the folks who are out of town and they may live in an area that doesn't have hills. How do they do their hill training?
One of the great ways that I like to do is if you live by a parking garage that you can run and where no cars are there, that's one way to do it. Even if you just walk stairs, do them 2 at a time. That's actually a very good one. I mean, it seems kind of like counter, like I just walk stairs, but do every other step. That's a great way. We don't have to run them up. I mean, if you have just a grassy knoll, it doesn't have to be anything special. I mean, if you have like a 20 or 30-second little hill, you can just run up like a grassy little knoll just to do a run. And then at the end of your run, just go to this little grassy knoll and just work quickly up and come back downhill, work quickly back up again. You'll get the cadence, the knee drive that you need on those hills. And it will definitely raise the heart rate for sure. Inclines on the treadmill work well as well. I mean, just don't get too crazy with it. don't want to have you part of one of those videos you see on Instagram or TikTok if you slide out the backside, folks. So be safe on those if you do those. But yeah, I mean, anything that can give you a little bit of an incline to kind of get you more up, more onto that midfoot, and get more of that knee raise and a little more arm swing, will serve you well in May for sure. But I think maybe some questions may come in. Nomi, do you have any parting words of wisdom or encouragement for our runners on this call?
If you are running for the first time or second time or third time, please make sure you show up, be excited. We learn one thing at a time. We practice one thing at a time. There's no need to stress out, oh my God, somebody told me this. Only listen to positive vibes. If people are telling you, oh my God, that race is annoying or this or that, do not talk to those, do not have those negative thoughts. One thing I learned in an easy way, because I always wanted to run for fun, it's like, enjoy it. And then if you practice, if you show up to the training, we learn every day. It makes it every day easier. And if you're first time running this half marathon, congratulations. I'm excited, and I hope you show up this Saturday to train with us. And all you have to do, just make sure keep that energy going up. And remember, the day that we show up to run this half marathon, it's the most beautiful day, and it's like when you finish, you're like, oh my God. A lot of people told me I cannot do it, but I actually can. And why can't you? If you practice, you show up, we do our best. So stay positive, read the books, find books that they are good, that they're gonna motivate you more. Um, I would add also some other, if you have access to the gym, I would add other things, not only running, and just surround yourself with people that they lift you up. And those are going to be runners who are you going to meet on Saturday and coaches.
Well, Dorothy?
Yeah, I agree with Nomi. It is so much easier to run happy. And some of my best runs were mornings where I woke up and it didn't feel that great, and I said to myself, just go. The worst case, even the worst run is better than no run, right? So you go out there and you surprise yourself. You always end up feeling a little bit better while you're out there. If you think you're going to be the slowest person and you don't want to come to practice because you think you're going to be the slowest person, don't worry. There's going to be somebody with you. Nobody gets left behind. We just want to make sure that everyone has a great experience in the training so that you have a really good experience during the race.
Yeah, I think that's it's so positive, Dorothy. No one ever feels bad after a run. I mean, you could be tired, but there is that beautiful part of just getting out there and doing something for yourself. Is there a time cutoff for the Brooklyn Half? I know that you have to get the streets back open. Usually that the bus that trails the race usually starts off about 15 minutes after the last person goes through. I don't know the exact time of when that person is going to be through, and that bus usually goes around about a 15-minute mile. I think it was over 3.5 hours, I want to say, for the New York City half. It was, I don't know, Dorothy, if you may know.
I think that for Brooklyn it might be 3:45, because even after the bus goes by, they still let people, if you're on Ocean, there you could still even move onto the sidewalk, but the finish line will still be open there.
Yeah, and that's always keep that in mind. Our finish lines are open; they're in areas we can keep them open for beyond what it is. But as Dorothy said, if you do get caught behind the van that trails the race, you'll simply move over to the sidewalk. But you'll still be able to get down to Coney Island, and our group will be waiting for you there. Tom did ask, how important is pace with time during the training, because you do mention time over miles. So when we talk about our long runs, they should be conversational. So usually this means about 45 seconds to a minute slower than what your race pace is going to be. A lot of people question, well, if I have to run 10 miles today, I got to get 10 miles in as opposed to time. Really, when you're looking at time on your feet is really the real key on this, because you never know how you're going to feel. I think Dorothy touched on it before. You can get up some days, if you have to go 10 miles, you're like, I just don't have 10 miles in me. That can be both a mental challenge, but then it becomes a physical problem because you may not be ready to go that far yet. But if I told you had to run for 90 minutes, okay, that's a different process on how you look at it. My pace doesn't matter. All I have to do is not 90 minutes. I'm getting time on my feet. I'm getting the physiological benefits of doing what I have to do for my body to train. And if I feel good that day, maybe my pace may be a little bit more comfortable. If I'm not feeling very good, it'll be slower, but I'm still getting the equal amount of time on my feet, regardless of what the distance will be. And over the course of your training, you'll see things change. Your body will adapt to that. That's why I'm a big proponent of time over miles, because trust me, there are some days when I've got to do a long run of 2 hours, 2.5 hours if I'm training for a marathon. And it's like, wow, if I had to say, go run 15 miles or 18 miles, that would sometimes sound more daunting than 2.5 hours. Okay, I can go, because then it's up to me on how I feel in that moment. Is really what my body, because I'm listening to my body and what's important there, on what's going to be the ultimate achievement for that day. But I know I'm going to get the physical benefit to being on my feet for 2.5 hours. Give it a couple more seconds for anything else. What you got, Dorothy?
I was going to say, I always think, well, first of all, when you're running with the group, keep the headset at home, unless it's the bone conductor, right? But you don't want to be listening to music, because I don't know about you, but my music, I tend to listen to faster beats, and it makes me want to run faster than I actually should be running. Um, but if you can just listen to your body, sometimes I used to only be a run to music type of person. I couldn't imagine not running to music. And when I stopped running with the headset, it really made a big difference. And when I stopped being such a slave to my watch, I would be there like, just running and looking, and I would get to the house and it would be 6:75, and I would run around the corner until I made that 7 miles. And that, those are the stresses that we don't need.
I will say, Dorothy, one of my favorite workouts that I did, and we did it at TFK Summer, was our sticker run. We had the runners put the sticker over in front of their watch, because we all have that left wrist twitch or whatever side, and you look at it, but if you put a sticker over it and you can't see it, then you're like, okay, now you have to listen to you. You
Right.
have to listen to your internal, the monologue, as one may say. But yeah, it's definitely there were some people that weren't necessarily super excited about that, but we got some good feedback, and I think people kind of learned that, okay, I can do this. That's where you begin to make the big jumps in your training. And because running, I think we all agree, it's both physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it can be spiritual. So take all those things into consideration. Okay, well, if we don't have any last minute questions, I cannot thank you enough for being here. I don't know, this will be posted somewhere, I'm guessing, Lindsay, at some point.
Yes, we will share this in the weekly email that we keep mentioning. So we'll share this in this week's email. So if you have any friends that weren't able to make it, or if there's something you feel like you missed that you want to go back and rewatch, it will be shared in the weekly email. But yeah, if you guys have any questions at any time, teamforkids@nyrr.org. If you think you're not getting the weekly emails, if we're talking about this and you're like, what are you talking about? Shoot us an email. We'll be able to look into it for you. But yeah, anything you guys need, we are here for all your questions.
Have a great night, everybody. Keep an eye out for those emails. Join that Facebook group. If you are in town, love to see you this Saturday. We will be meeting at Columbus Circle. The Run Center will be open at the back door if you want to drop off a bag. If the weather does stay true, I will definitely be bringing a change of clothes. It's going to be a little bit wet, and it looks like on Saturday morning. But as we've all heard here, don't be afraid to train in the rain. You will learn something that hopefully will come in helpful at either the RBC Brooklyn Half or any other races in your future.